Hi everyone and welcome back. Exhaust came a day later for this. 1 day later. I don't know how they did that. It was £20. It wasn't expensive. It's not exactly the same shape, but I think because it's down at the back, it won't matter. I'm going to show you that in a minute. My KTM battery charged up finally. I had to trickle it a couple of times to get it past its low. It didn't want to charge actually. It was choosing not to. It was charging to 25% and then it was failing. However, I put some trickle into it for a while and then pushed it past that, and it is fully charged now. So it's a battery that shouldn't get much more out of it actually. It should stay okay now until March or April, which is great. I do take the bike out, but not as regularly as I should, and I'm definitely a summer biker, sadly to say. Let's also the cargo, the S cargo. I've booked it in to a place called Bookham. They're not that far. Surrey, maybe Kent somewhere, and they're going to do the works that need doing. That's going to be next week. They're going to collect it from here next week at some point. I'm going to do bits and pieces on it. I've bought some white smooth hammerite for the wheels. They're going to need a good clean, and then white smooth hammerite. And I've bought this good product. You can see it's used already here actually. You can see how smooth and how clean that plastic is. And I've actually used it here, and you can see how I've not been able to get in to the main area. But if you look at that and how nice that's come out compared to, you know, the dull version. Look there, that might be. It's actually going to come out nice. Paintwork, I need to do some touching up, bits and pieces like this. I'll get some rust stuff in there, and then I'll touch it up with white, touch up paint. And it will need a good clean. It needs 4 new tyres. And then ultimately it will be a vehicle for someone. Sadly, it's not something I can keep because of the low emissions stuff. The only hope left with the low emission stuff, because I'm not for it, and it's always risky having certain conversations on YouTube because of monetization purposes, but I genuinely don't think the ULEZ solves any of the problems. That's the truth. The few old men and women that just had an old car that they just trickled around, them having to get rid of their cars to buy new ones, I don't see how that solves an issue at all. 95%, this was Transport for London's own statistics, 95% of cars running at this time were compliant anyway. So putting in this, that costs billions of pounds to target the 5% of lesser earners maybe, or older people, has bugged me. And it's bugged Londoners. They're out there cutting down the poles. So where was I going with that? Most of the candidates looking to take over as mayor next year, most of them are saying they will scrap the extension of the ULEZ. And I believe them. I don't think they could come in with that as their key thing and then not follow through. So I do believe them. So that would mean end of this time next year, if it was true and they followed through and they scrapped it, this would become compliant again, but not in central London. But that's fine, I never go into central London. So I'm not quite sure what the long-term thing is of this. I think what I'll do is eventually, when I'm happy with it, I'll advertise it for top dollar, 5 or 6 grand, because it's a riding one. It will be the only riding road legal one in the country at that stage. And if it went for that, great, it goes for that. I'll put that budget into something else. Otherwise, if it sat around lovely, I'd absolutely enjoy holding on to it until something changed. So that's the story on that. So I've got some white hammerite I need to clean first, scuff and clean, white hammerite, some plastic blacking products which will look great, a good clean. This is a rubber mastic up here. It's a bit mouldy now. I don't know. I think I'll give it a good clean. I might go over that with the white hammerite as well after giving it a good scrub and clean. I think that's probably the strongest product to be able to do that. And from there, other little bits and pieces. This car doesn't leak, rain does not come in, but there's these little corners here, look, and this bit's bulged, so I don't know if that should be punched down and this should slide along, but I think clean it and some black mastic maybe at that stage, just to make sure it's okay. But again, no rain goes into this vehicle. I've not seen a drip at all at any stage. Let's have a look at this, the shape of this. It will go on here. There's actually bolts for it. I can get it bolted in, actually that'll work really well. The bolts sit really well. I think that's going to work. So it goes on like that with its reducers, and again it's so hidden, don't think it'll make too much of an issue. I'm actually going to throw that on before it gets too wet. Let me chuck that on, bolt it on before it gets too wet, and we'll see what it looks like. We can actually fire up and see what it sounds like and all. But of course it's raining. Twice I've checked today. It's not meant to be raining, it's meant to be fairly sunny, and now it's raining. Can't do much in the rain. So it's not sealed at the head properly, even with their shims. It's loose on the pipe. A little bit of gum would sort that out, maybe some gum wrap. I don't think the pipe looks too out of place on this bike actually. It's the sound that I'm not sure about. So let's hear it. Let's hear it. Choke, we're gonna need to choke. Not obnoxiously loud. Bad at all actually. I think the initial smoke burning off it was the manufacturing stuff, whatever oils they used. It doesn't sound too bad, it doesn't look too bad. There is definitely it's definitely not connected properly on the end. It will need something. actually still got the gasket from the KTM. I could probably do something with that and gum actually. Right, I've switched it off for a couple of minutes. I'm quite pleased with how the engine sounds overall. I am going to use that gasket. I'm going to make it work with some gum in there. It's a better gasket than what came with it. What came with it isn't a gasket, it's shims to narrow on the pipe. That will work better, so I'm going to make something work with that and some gum. I think that will be okay. I have no doubt actually that will be okay then. Where do we go from here? Let me throw the KTM battery back in because it needs it while this is cooling down. I've actually got all my stuff to do the wheels for the Nissan. Hammer White Smooth White, paintbrush, plenty cloth. I needed some new cable ties, and I've actually got a upholstery. I want to try and clean the seats for it. I'm looking on one on eBay at the moment. It's identical. It hasn't got the roof opening and it hasn't got the windows in the back, and it's £7 and it's identical. The only thing it's got black front headlights, which I don't like. They should be white. So yeah, so at some point I want to clean up the wheels. I might just get the cleaning done today. I've cleaned this one a touch, but I need to get in deeper with a scouring, with a scuff pad. Also, I'm short one centre hub on the other side. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, there's a spare wheel under that seat. It might have one attached. If so, you'll have a full set. If not, it's not going to be easy to source, but I would love to. Right, let's throw the KTM battery in just because it's looking a bit miserable over there. YouTube short. The motorcycle rescuer is once again rescuing someone whose bike was stolen. This is a Lexmoto Diablo 125, stunning bikes. But it was stolen and it didn't get very far, a couple of blocks away, but they definitely used it and they trashed it. So let's minimize the impact on this. This is a young lady actually. Let's minimize the impact on this young lady. Let's get as much of the work done as we can without her having to spend a small fortune.